They had just won the Champions League. Vinicius was the king. The Bernabeu was untouchable. 2024 Real Madrid were the last team you would expect to collapse. And yet, 12 months after Kylian and Mbappe walked through the door, they had not won a single trophy that mattered. While Barcelona swept every Clasico and PSG lifted the treble in Paris, Madrid looked broken. No balance, no midfield, no answers. So how did the most decorated club in football sign the best forward on earth and somehow get measurably worse? To answer that, you have to go back to Wembley. Before we get to the collapse, you need to understand exactly what Real Madrid were before he arrived. Because if you don't see what was working, you can't see what got broken. June 1st, 2024, Wembley Stadium. The sun is going down on a Saturday night and Real Madrid are about to win their 15th European Cup. Borussia Dortmund have been the better team for an hour. They have hit the post. They have missed sitters. They have done everything except score. And in football, doing everything except score is the same thing as losing. In the 74th minute, Toni Kroos curls in a corner. Dani Carvajal climbs above the entire Dortmund defence and heads it home. 8 minutes later, Vinicius Jr. slots in the second. Real Madrid are champions of Europe. Again, 6th time in 11 years. At this point, it is not even a competition, it is a habit. The man on the cover of every newspaper the next morning is not Bellingham, not Kroos, not Modric. It is Vinicius Jr., 23 years old. The kid from São Gonçalo who arrived in Madrid as a teenage curiosity and is now, unmistakably, the best left winger on the planet. He scored in the 2022 Champions League final. He scored in the 2024 Champions League final. He finished as the Ballon d'Or runner-up. He was the King of Madrid, in the only city where that title means anything. And the team around him was not just talented, it was balanced. That is the word people forget. Toni Kroos was the metronome, the man who made the ball obey orders. Luka Modric was the conductor, the one who saw passes that did not exist yet. Carvajal owned the right flank, like he had a deed to it. Rudiger and Nacho were genuinely angry about football, in the way the best central defenders always are. And up top, Vinicius and Rodrigo were the most thrilling young attacking duo in Europe. It was, in every way that matters, a complete team. Veterans who knew how to suffer, young players who knew how to dream. A manager, Carlo Ancelotti, who knew exactly when to let the dressing room run itself and exactly when to stop it. 2 Champions Leagues in 3 years, champions of Spain, the undisputed kings of European football, and so, into this functioning, balanced, dominant champions side, Florentino Perez decided to add Kylian Mbappe. Now, in fairness, this was not a new dream, this was the white whale. Florentino had been chasing Mbappe for nearly a decade, ever since the kid had ripped Argentina apart at the 2018 World Cup. The romance had everything: Madrid posters on the bedroom wall, Zidane was a childhood hero, the Bernabeu chants, the whole Baroque opera. In 2022, it had finally seemed to be happening. The deal was done, the medical was scheduled, and then, with the entire Madridista universe already drafting headlines, Mbappe pulled the rug. He signed a new contract with Paris Saint-Germain, a monstrous one. So large that Emmanuel Macron, the French president, had personally lobbied for it, as if it were a matter of national security. Florentino, humiliated, said the relationship was over, forever, burnt, done. And yet, 2 years later, here was Mbappe, in white, kissing the badge. In football, no humiliation is permanent if the talent is generational enough. Florentino swallowed his pride. The club swallowed the salary, and Madrid welcomed him in like the prodigal son, finally home. There was just one small problem. The kingdom did not actually need a new king. It already had one. He had a Brazilian passport, a smile that lit up the Bernabeu, and goals in 2 Champions League finals. And he played in exactly the same position as the new arrival did. two roosters, as one French pundit would put it, one henhouse. What could possibly go wrong? To understand why Madrid signed him anyway, you have to understand the shape of obsession. May 2022, PSG had just won Ligue 1 again. Mbappe had outgrown the league. He had outgrown the project. And, by every credible report, he was leaving for free. The contracts were drafted, the shirt number reserved. Florentino held a press conference confirming, with the satisfaction of a man who had finally gotten what he had paid for, that Kylian Mbappe would be a Real Madrid player. 48 hours later, Mbappe was on a stage at the Parc des Princes, lifting a new PSG shirt over his head. Florentino watched it on television. By all accounts, he did not say anything for a long time. Inside Mbappe's camp, the explanation was simple. PSG had offered too much money. Macron had asked him to stay. The state, his country, was watching. So he stayed. He stayed and scored 41 goals that season. He stayed and scored 44 the next. He stayed and got knocked out of the Champions League by Bayern in 2023, again, like an annual tradition. He stayed, in other words, in the most beautifully decorated cul-de-sac in football. PSG was a club that had everything except the one thing they wanted. And every spring, the same script. Domestic dominance, Champions League heartbreak, a new manager, a new project. And Kylian, smiling for the camera, told everyone the next year would be different. 5 different managers in 6 years at PSG. 5. Emery, Tuchel, Pochettino, Galtier, Enrique. Each one arrived, was told publicly that Kylian was the project, and then quietly discovered that the project was actually Kylian. Power flowed in one direction. Recruitment, tactics, dressing room politics, all of it eventually orbited around the player. In one now infamous moment, Luis Enrique stood on the sideline, gesticulating wildly at Mbappe, demanding he track back. Mbappe just stared at him, the way you stare at a man trying to explain calculus to a cat. At the time, it became a meme that circulated endlessly. Looking back, it was a warning. Then, in 2024, the cycle broke. Mbappe announced he was leaving on a free. Madrid welcomed him in. Paris Saint-Germain, finally free of the gravitational field of their own franchise player, brought in Luis Enrique's actual idea of a team. They built around Ousmane Dembele. They turned Achraf Hakimi into a freelance terrorist on the right wing. They became, quite suddenly, a real football team. And here is the part the universe wrote like a comedy. The season after Mbappe left, Paris Saint-Germain won the treble, Ligue 1, the Coupe de France, and the Champions League. They demolished Inter Milan 5-0 in the final. 5-0. In a Champions League final, Dembele won the Ballon d'Or. The trophy Mbappe had spent 7 years chasing arrived in Paris exactly 12 months after he stopped chasing it. Luis Enrique, asked about it later, did not even bother to hide it. He said the team played better, that everyone got involved, that on the ball and off the ball, they were a different side. He chose his words carefully. He did not need to. Everyone understood it. Paris Saint-Germain had spent 7 years asking what was wrong with their Champions League runs. The answer, it turned out, had been wearing number 7. He had asked for a chance to prove himself elsewhere. Careful what you wish for. So now we are back in the Bernabeu, July 2024. Kylian Mbappe, in a white shirt, 25 years old, walking onto a team that just won the Champions League. On paper, the most ridiculous front line in the history of the sport. Vinicius on the left, Bellingham behind the striker, Rodrigo wherever you need him, and Mbappe somewhere up top, finishing, on paper. The pitch is where things start to fall apart. The first problem is the simplest. Vinicius plays on the left, Mbappe plays on the left. Both of them, when you ask them where they want the ball, will tell you the same thing. Left foot, cutting in, goal. Both of them get nervous when they have to play with their back to defenders. Both of them like to pick up the ball, isolate the full back, and either shoot or carve open the cover. Both of them, in other words, are wingers in a striker-shaped costume. And so, when Carlo Ancelotti, in his last act of pragmatism, keeps Vinicius on the left and pushes Mbappe to centre forward, what you actually see every single match is two forwards drifting toward the same channel, asking for the same ball, running the same runs. The pitch is enormous. The space they actually occupy when both are on it is small enough to fit inside a phone booth. Worse, neither of them is the kind of player who creates space for the other. Mbappe is not a true number 9. He does not pin centre-backs. He does not hold the ball up. He does not win headers. He drops deep, looking for the pass into feet, and once he gets it, he wants to run at goal. Vinicius does the same thing, on the same side, with the same intensity. Two cars on a one-lane road, both honking, neither willing to pull over. The numbers will eventually be brutal. Across 2 seasons together, Mbappe and Vinicius will combine for goals in just 6% of Real Madrid's strikes. 6. They will exchange, on average, 7 passes per match. 7. Real Madrid will be statistically better when one of them is missing than when both of them play. Higher win rate, more goals scored, fewer goals conceded. 2 of the best attackers in the world, in the same starting 11, making each other worse. It is not chemistry, it is not even friendship. It is, by any honest measure, an allergy. In fairness, the early signs are not all about Mbappe. He starts the 2024 to 2025 season slowly. The Bernabeu, a place that historically takes about 90 seconds to turn on a new signing, takes maybe 3 months. He misses penalties. He looks, in a word that one Spanish journalist will use over and over, baffled. He plays a Clásico in October and forgets, multiple times, what offside is. Madrid lose 4-0, their first proper Clásico defeat in years. And then, slowly, the pattern reveals itself. Mbappe starts scoring. Madrid, at the same time, start losing. Consider the run. November 2025, hammered by Milan 3-1 in Europe. December, lost to Athletic Club. January, Barcelona win the Spanish Super Cup final 5-2. February, lost to Espanyol. March, Barcelona win the Copa del Rey final 3-2 in extra time, with Mbappe on the pitch. April, Arsenal arrive at the Bernabeu in the Champions League quarter-final and obliterate them. 3-0 at the Emirates, 2-1 in Madrid. Declan Rice, of all people, scores 2 free kicks in the first leg, which is the football equivalent of being mugged by an accountant. Saka shushes the Bernabeu in their own back garden. By the end of the season, Madrid have won the UEFA Super Cup and the Club World Cup, the 2 trophies you hand out to teams that have not actually won anything important that season. Barcelona have scored 16 goals against Madrid across the season. 16. And Mbappe, individually, is having a brilliant year. 44 goals in all competitions, 31 in La Liga, the European Golden Boot. He scores a hat-trick in the final Clásico of the season, the one Madrid lose 4-3. He breaks Real Madrid's single-season scoring record. He outscores the next player in his own team by a factor of 3. And none of it amounts to anything. The Bernabeu, that brutally honest building, sees what is happening before the press does. The murmur, when Mbappe makes a mistake, is louder than the murmur when anyone else does. Vinicius, the previous king, is suddenly being moved to the right wing in big games. He stops scoring in La Liga in November. He does not score another league goal until the spring. The Ballon d'Or runner-up in his prime is having his worst season in 4 years. Florentino, watching all of this, decides that a manager change is the answer. Carlo Ancelotti, after 11 years, 2 stints, 2 La Liga titles and 3 Champions Leagues, is gently moved aside. The new manager, Xabi Alonso, walks in with a clear plan. Build from the back, possession, discipline, defensive shape. The dressing room takes one look at his plan, smiles politely, and continues to play exactly the way Kylian and Vinicius want to play, which is to say, not at all. The 2025 to 2026 season is when the comedy stops being funny. Xabi Alonso starts well, on paper. Through his first 34 matches, he has the same record as Hansi Flick had at Barcelona in his first season. 25 wins, 4 draws, 5 losses, identical. The difference is that Hansi Flick is at a club where the dressing room respects him, and Xabi Alonso is at a club where the dressing room does not, fundamentally, believe a manager has the right to ask them to defend. July 9th, 2025. Real Madrid play PSG in the Club World Cup, the reigning European champions against the new Galacticos. PSG, the team Mbappe left behind, win the match 4-0. Fabian Ruiz finds open spaces in midfield like he is playing five-a-side. Luis Enrique stares at the opposite touchline with the expression of a man finally being understood. There is one moment etched into every Madridista memory where Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, PSG's new number 7, walks straight onto Mbappe, takes the ball off him and dribbles away. Mbappe just stands there and watches it happen. The contrast is so brutal it does not need narration. Then comes the season. Mbappe starts hot, 14 goals in his first 10 matches. Madrid go top of La Liga. There is, for about a month, a sense that the project might actually work. He even scores in the first Clásico and Madrid win. 5 points clear, optimism, and then defeat to Girona, a draw against Elche, a loss to Bayern at the Bernabeu, a draw against Betis. In the Champions League, a humiliating loss away at Benfica. Mbappe scores twice in that match. Madrid lose anyway. After the match, Mbappe, visibly furious, gives an interview where he says that champions do not play well one day and disappear the next. He says they do not have consistency. He says the team deserves to be where they are. It is a moment that goes viral because everyone in Spanish football understands what it actually is. He is publicly criticizing his teammates. He is, specifically, publicly criticizing Vinicius. The dressing room, already a mosaic of small wars, gets a little colder. January 11th, 2026, Barcelona win the Spanish Super Cup, again. 24 hours later, Xabi Alonso is sacked. 7 months on the job, identical record to Hansi Flick across his first 34 games. Different result. In comes Álvaro Arbeloa, the former right-back, the loyal soldier, the man whose entire job description, made plain to him on day one, is to keep the players happy. Not to coach them, not to challenge them, to manage them. Florentino has done this before. He has, his whole presidency, treated managers as glorified hosts at his dinner party. Arbeloa understands the assignment. And the moment Arbeloa walks in, 3 days later, Real Madrid are knocked out of the Copa del Rey by Albacete, a second division side, in the round of 16. Madness. From there, the run becomes one of the worst in modern Madrid history. On April 4th, Mallorca beat them 2-1. On April 7th, Bayern beat them 2-1 at the Bernabeu in a Champions League quarter-final first leg. On April 10th, a draw against Girona. On April the 15th, Bayern complete the job, 4-3 at the Allianz Arena after extra time. Champions League gone. Again. On April the 24th, a draw against Betis. La Liga gone. Again. 2 seasons under Mbappe. 0 league titles. 0 Champions Leagues. 0 Copa del Reys. 0 Spanish Super Cups. 23 games under Arbeloa. 13 wins, 2 draws, 8 losses. A nearly 60% win rate. The worst Real Madrid have had since 2018. 10 consecutive matches conceding goals, a streak the club has not endured in 22 years. And Mbappe, individually, is once again having a brilliant year. 41 goals in 41 games, top scorer in La Liga. The numbers are obscene. The trophies do not exist. One moment from January ends up summarising the entire era. Mbappe, on the left wing, had a chance to play a simple cross with about a minute left. Easy ball, 2 teammates open. Instead, he tried to dribble past 2 defenders and lost it. Madrid lost the match. The pundit on the broadcast said, almost wearily, that Madrid had been overcomplicating like this all season. Either shooting when they should pass, dribbling when they should look up, or classically just falling over for a penalty. Real Madrid, the team that for a decade had been defined by ruthless team play in the biggest moments, were, by April 2026, being mocked for trying to do everything alone. And that somehow made it worse. Now, here is where Mbappe fans will justifiably push back. Consider the goals. Consider the records. 80+ goals across 2 seasons. The European Golden Boot. 40-40 in his second campaign. How, they will ask, can a player putting up these numbers possibly be the problem? The answer is that the numbers are, in this case, a lie. Not a lie about Mbappe, a lie about the team. Examining his Champions League season in 2025 to 2026 more closely reveals something unsettling. The goal tally is otherworldly. The actual breakdown is something else. He scored 4 against Olympiacos, 2 against Marseille, 1 a penalty. He scored against Kylian, against Monaco, against an already eliminated Benfica side that beat Madrid anyway. Against the actual contenders, the teams that knock you out, he scored 0, 0 against City, only 1 against Bayern across 2 knockout matches. Every football analyst in Europe pulled up the same data from Real Madrid versus Arsenal in 2025. Mbappe barely moved. He stood, he sauntered, he drifted toward the box, made one half-hearted run, then stopped. The contrast with Ousmane Dembele in PSG's Champions League run that same season could not have been sharper. Dembele was everywhere, pressing the centre-backs, tracking back to the halfway line, dropping into midfield, making the runs that dragged defenders out of position. Then, when the moment came, finishing. Dembele, who at one point in his career was considered one of the great wasted talents of his generation, who was injured every other week, won the Ballon d'Or in 2025 because his manager finally got him to do everything, because his team, freed of one player, became greater than the sum of its parts. Without Mbappe, Madrid beat Celta Vigo 2-1. They demolished Manchester City 3-0 in the Champions League. They beat Elche 4-1. They beat Atletico 3-2. The football flows. The midfield breathes. Vinicius, briefly, becomes the king again, demanding the ball, dragging defenders out of position, scoring goals. Then Mbappe returns. The team gets quieter, slower, more predictable. The forward runs become rotations of 1. The midfield becomes a service station. Other forwards stop demanding the ball because they know where the ball is going anyway. This is the most painful, most unsayable thing about Kylian Mbappe. He is, individually, one of the most gifted forwards the sport has ever produced. And yet, by every available measure, his teams are smaller, less balanced, more brittle, with him on the pitch than without him. The universe, it seemed, had been taking notes. The cruelest casualty of the Mbappe era is not a manager. It is not a trophy cabinet. It is Vinicius Jr. Remember where we started. Wembley, June 2024. 23 years old, scoring in his second consecutive Champions League final, the second best player in the world, on a trajectory toward becoming the first Brazilian Ballon d'Or winner since Kaká. Already a Madrid icon. Already, by acclamation, the king. 2 years later, Vinicius Jr. is having his worst season in 4 years. By the end of 2024 to 2025, he goes nearly 5 months without scoring a La Liga goal. He gets injured. He gets suspended. He picks up cards for arguing with referees. He is moved to the right wing in big matches to make room for Mbappe. He spends large stretches of important matches drifting, demanding the ball, getting it, and then having nowhere to go because somebody else is occupying the channel he was going to attack. In the summer of 2025, in a moment that tells the entire story without anyone having to say it out loud, Vinicius asks Real Madrid for a pay rise. He wants parity with Mbappe, the new highest earner in the squad. Real Madrid politely decline. The reason given in private is that his form has dropped. The reason given in private is that the dressing room hierarchy has shifted, and the club knows which side of that shift sells more shirts. In moments without Mbappe on the pitch, you see flashes of the player he used to be. He scores in El Derby against Atletico. He assists in Europe. He becomes, briefly, the focal point again. And Madrid fans remember, with a guilty kind of recognition what they used to have. Then Mbappe returns, and Vinicius retreats into the wallpaper. There is a line from the French pundit Eric Dimeco that lands differently each time you hear it. He said that Mbappe, being such a mental and sporting monster, was always going to make Vinicius crack. Crack, not lose, not fall behind, crack like glass under pressure. And the bitterest part, the dark prophecy fulfilled, is that everyone saw it coming. Dimeco saw it, the Brazilian press saw it, the Madrid old guard, the Modrics and Cruz saw it before they left, the fans saw it, PSG's last manager saw it. The only people who did not see it, or refused to see it, were the people who signed the deal. 2 roosters, 1 hen house. The bigger one starts to sing. The smaller one, the one who used to run the place, starts to forget what his own voice sounds like. Now, before anyone in the comments reaches for the cyanide, this is not the part where we declare Kylian Mbappe a finished player. He is 27 years old. He is, on his worst day, still one of the 3 best forwards on the planet. He still has time. There is, almost certainly, another Champions League final somewhere in his future, just on probability alone. Madrid, eventually, will get it right. They always do. But legacies are not built on potential. They are built on what you actually win in the seasons you were supposed to win it. And the more carefully you trace the arc of his career, the more uncomfortable the pattern becomes. Cristiano Ronaldo, at 27, had won 3 league titles, the Champions League, the Euros, and was halfway to becoming the all-time top scorer in his sport. Lionel Messi, at 27, had won 3 Champions Leagues and 7 league titles, and was rewriting the definition of what a footballer could be. Zinedine Zidane, at 27, had won the World Cup, Serie A, and the Ballon d'Or. Kylian Mbappe, at 27, has won the World Cup once with France. 6 League One titles. In a league Manchester City would win 70 times in a row if they were allowed to enter it. A series of European golden boots, which look great on a Wikipedia page and absolutely nothing in a museum. And not a single Champions League. Not at PSG, not at Madrid, not yet, and possibly not ever. That is the cold version of the story. The warmer version is harder, because it is the version his teammates whisper about. Wherever he goes, the team somehow becomes about him. Wherever he stays, the trophies somehow disappear. 5 managers at PSG, 2 at Madrid in 2 seasons. A dressing room that runs the club, a coach reduced to a glorified babysitter, a teammate, the previous king, reduced to a side character in his own home. This is how legacies die, if you are paying attention. Not all at once, not in a crash, not in one bad season. They die in slow motion across the gap between what the numbers say and what the trophies say. Across the gap between what the highlight reels promise and what the spring brings. Across the gap between being the best player on the pitch and being the player whose presence makes the team smaller. The PSG comparison hangs in the air like a verdict. 7 years, 5 managers, 0 Champions Leagues. He leaves. They win it the next year by 5-0. 2 years at Madrid. 2 managers shoved out the side door. 0 Champions Leagues, 0 leagues. The team that won the trophy 6 times in 11 years without him suddenly cannot win anything with him. There are 2 ways to read that pattern. One is bad luck, coincidence, a statistical fluke that will eventually correct itself. The other is the more honest, more uncomfortable reading, the one that journalists in Madrid have started to write out loud, that the player was never the missing piece. He was, in a way nobody at the time wanted to admit, the misplaced one. Florentino built a kingdom. He bought a king. He installed him in the throne room. He did not notice that there was already a king. He did not notice that the new king did not really want to govern. He just wanted to score. And the kingdom, slowly, has begun to forget how to do anything else. So here is where Kylian Mbappe sits. At the end of the 2025 to 2026 season, 27 years old, 40-odd goals in 40 matches again, the face of Real Madrid, the single most expensive package in the modern history of the sport, and the holder of a club career so empty of trophies in the seasons it was supposed to define him that you can fit it on a single line. 6 League One titles, 1 World Cup, a drawer full of golden boots that nobody asked you to bring out at parties, and a chasing collection of vacancies where the Champions Leagues, the European nights, the legacy moments were all supposed to be. He could still fix it. He probably will, eventually. Madrid, in the end, find a way. They always do. A new manager, a new generation, the right partner, the right system. Some kid from the academy who runs and tackles and defends the way Mbappe does not. Some midfielder who sees a pass that nobody else does, the way Modric used to. Some night, in some stadium, where the team finally clicks, and the goals he has been scoring against minnows arrive, finally, against the Giants. Or alternatively, he becomes a different kind of player, the greatest stat king of his era. The man who broke every record except the ones that matter. The Golden Boot ghost. The man who left PSG, watched them win the treble, joined Real Madrid, and watched them stop winning anything. Either way, the next chapter of this story is being written right now. By him. By his manager, whoever it ends up being. By Vinicius, if Vinicius decides he still wants to be there. By Florentino, who is running out of time and patience. By a dressing room that has, for 2 years, been quietly choosing itself over the team. He had asked once for a chance to prove himself in white. The gods, as they tend to, were listening. They are listening still. And they are still very much taking notes. If you want the next part, the one where we break down exactly how Florentino Perez plans to fix this disaster and why every football executive in Europe is privately laughing about it, the link is in the description below. Until then.